We will not include, as usual, the Q&A at the end at all. So if you have something particular you want to ask, you can do it then. All right. Okay, we will not, okay. We'll leave that on delay. All right, let's go ahead and put up the slides for tonight. Just a few little things I want to say. Okay. So I saw a lot of my friends here and glad you're here. I see, let me see who's in the house here. All right, said something to Sister Paul. Sister Rashawn, are you there or is it just Elijah?
No, it's me. I'm here.
Cool. All right. Is he there too?
He'll be joining. He's getting some help right now on one of his scholarship applications. So he's on a different Zoom right now.
And Brother Rex, my old pal, is there. He's a warrior up in San Francisco, fighting for fairness in math. I would say it that way today. What's going on, Rex?
Hey, how's everyone doing?
All right. How did I describe you? Was that okay? I felt you're fighting for fairness in math. Let's see. Sister Kayla is here. Hi, Kayla.
Hi.
Kayla, we need to talk real soon. Super soon. Super soon. Hey, would you, Bailey, go ahead and put my cell number up in the chat? I'm vulnerable like that. Put it right out there. Kayla, give me a call or text me when you're available tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Love to talk to you. My India is here. Hi, my India. And Sister Dawn and Kaya's here. Oh, my goodness. Hi, Kaya. Kaya's in
Hi,
there.
Deacon.
Good. It's a high density of students here. My India is here. Hi, my India.
Hello.
And hi, Sister Daphne's here. Hi. This is my old pal. The Daphne is here. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's move on. From our earlier episodes, just to give you a little rundown of our earlier episodes. I thought I should do that. We talked about the college admissions process, where you apply for schools at different times, different types of schools. And of course, you get application acceptances at some point. We're before that period. Although some people have gotten acceptances, like a lot of the CSUs are admitting early this year. FAFSA submission, FAFSA awards, financial aid awards, and your cost determination trade-offs. I bet you thought I was going to say decision. I think you should do a cost determination and trade-offs before you do anything. Incidentally, I do have a video on how to tell the cost of a school online. I'll cover it in detail in our last meeting of the year on the 17th. I'm going to do a really short meeting that day. I'll talk about determining the cost of schools, like how to use their data for what you really are going to pay. But this is a college admission process in a nutshell. You'll notice in the beginning, there was a data-driven college list. I think college lists don't only come from word of mouth. That's how you get into higher costs in schools that don't get students ready. But data-driven means you can look at a lot of different things to make the proper determination of the college list. Let's see. Let's go through this a little slower. Out-of-state public universities, California state universities, early action private schools, University of California. Again, it's a review, so I'm going through it for those who didn't see it before. Regular period private colleges, which you can see from these dates. In my admissions model, that's where you are now. The UCs are closed. The CSUs are almost closed. Well, not almost, somewhat closed. We'll talk about that in a minute. Any early action period is over now. So now you're talking about the regular period private colleges, which I think should be finished up no matter what the due dates are, students. You need to finish those up before Christmas. Come on, what do you say? I almost want to say any not done at Christmas need to not be delivered. You need to force yourself to get these applications finished inside of this year and end the pain, because you probably are applying to a lot of schools, some of which you'll never attend. Just think about that. The ones you really like, you probably already did. That's the way it usually goes. Let's don't let this period hang out there too long. Now, I want to talk about the bracketed schools, because those are the schools that have essays, okay? And your essay development occurred in that period. And then, of course, we provided application support to some of you, okay? And for the 11th grade parents here, that's what I'll be doing in the future. Here's a little step thing. I don't think I presented it last time to give you an idea of relative costs. My family here, my student has a in my family here, my student has a 3.6 unweighted GPA and a family income of 80,000 plus, which is really nothing in California, it turns out. Grand Canyon was $14,500. CSU to be about an average of $17,500. These are out-of-pocket costs that I expect for those numbers. Boise State, $18,000, about the same, you see. University of California, $24,500. Private college, $29,000. And selective private colleges, $35,000. Now, that's an average. Now, I played a little game. I made it 3.6. Now, if it was 4.0, this would look different in most cases. But because usually, right now I'm helping about 200 students, usually about 10 or 12 are going to be above 3.8 or 3.8 or above. We have probably another 10 to 20, I'd say 20%, and from 3.4 to 3.8. Okay, so it's generally unusual to have, it's not unusual to have good grades. It's unusual to have walk-on water grades that are super, super high. So these are probably very relevant costs. I always like to remind parents about how much college is going to cost. Now, there's an exception here I should have mentioned, and that is, let's suppose that you go local to a CSU, then it's almost nothing out of pocket then, right? So that's why I always say we really don't have a college cost. Well, let's put it this way. The college cost problem is not stated correctly. We have probably a private college away from, living on campus private college cost problem in this country. We probably do. You could say we have an out-of-state public university problem too. I would say for CSU, which will be your lowest college typically next to Grand Canyon, typically parents will find that more manageable, but still it's $17,500 on the average per year. There's a couple CSUs that are less, some that are more. I always like to give you a feel for what it's going to cost. Okay. Just as usual, if there's any questions, please speak right up. It's the best way, or drop it in the chat. I'm sure Bailey will see it in there and will help me out. All right. How about listen to this. Here's the college enrollment and financial aid review and award process. Starts with the 2024-2025 FAFSA. Let me stop there. I already had 2 parents that swore to me the FAFSA opened December 1st, and I knew it hadn't opened, so I looked into it with the parents and found out they were submitting the 23-24 FAFSA. Listen closely. The 24-25 FAFSA is the one you want, and you will find, if you look carefully at the website, at the site, at www.fafsa.gov, which I'll mention that later, you'll see that it's not available yet. Now, as I said, when everybody was saying December 1st, I never really agreed to that. I always had the belief that it was going to be sometime in December, just like the government said. They said in December it would be available. Here we are in December. I guess any day it could drop. It could drop tomorrow. It could drop next week. It could drop December 31st. But we've begun to make plans on the program. Last week I sent out links to a FAFSA data sheet. If you want us to do the FAFSA, we need to get those in so we can audit them and look them over and make sure we're ready to put them right in the FAFSA. I've only received one so far. I don't even know if Quinn's here. I don't even know. I'm just looking. She's probably not. Okay. She's not here. Okay. Anyway, we sent out an email last week, I believe, with, let me unpin that. There's a problem here. Okay, there we go. We sent out information that will allow you to send us the information we would need to file your FAFSA. For a small donation, we'll do it for you. We're approved FAFSA preparers. I do them all myself, but they're quality controlled by my peeps. And we've probably done about 1,000 of them. So we know if you have a special situation, you want to talk to me first about it, get a hold of me. I'll be glad to help you. Many of you already have agreed to do it. You just need to send that in and I'll be glad to do it when the FOPSA is available. Right now, I would audit it and be perfectly ready to go, like checking your usernames and passwords, things like that. Once the FOPSA it comes in and is submitted, some colleges do a financial aid verification. Now, I think we're going to have verifications this year, although by next year there will be no more verification because the only data acceptable in the FOPSA will be transferred tax return data. So again, if you haven't filed your 22 taxes, I don't know whether they'll accept just the numbers entered from it anymore. I don't know what to expect in this FOPSA, but the documents they sent us last week describing it seem to indicate there's not going to be any more verifications by the colleges because they'll have your tax data in the FOPSA. Okay. The 22 federal income tax transcripts and forms is what they would have to do they have the transcripts, you have the form to do the verification. That was in the past. But again, it might be they just get it transferred from your return anyway, and there is no verification. But there could be this year still because people haven't had time to adequately prepare for that, I don't think. So there's that problem too. Let me close this up. Okay, then you have a financial aid award over here to the right. And there could be no review. In that case, you still get a financial aid award. Now, some schools have a CSS profile. I'm going to spend more time with that a little later, telling you more about that. It's an additional financial aid process. Well, it's a form and a process. I think it stands for College Scholastic Service or something. I don't know, whatever. But it's an additional financial aid document above and beyond the FOPSA. That's required by over 700 schools. A lot of you that are applying to a lot of private schools, you definitely will have a lot of CS profile action, okay? And it does get additional information from your parents, students, and parents from you. And I will explain basically what the additional information is today. On the CSS profile, they will upload your actual tax return. Now, they may change that, right? Because they'll realize that the FOPSA eventually is going to have tax data in it. I don't think they'll be doing, I think this year they're going to ask for those tax returns still. I think next year. But people have not had time to adequately prepare to do this. I don't see how they could do it. And by the way, 1/4 of the FOPSAs I do, I can't transfer the data. Go to my videos and I explain why I can transfer them and what this whole thing means. There's a lot more detail in the videos. I didn't want to cover it here and make this meeting too long. We're checking for any questions here. All right. Billy, you watching?
Yes.
Watch closely for hands up or chats. Tell Quinn to, you can text her back channel. She just showed up. Okay, non-custodial parent information is a part of the process. So if you have a parent that's not a custodial parent, is a separated or divorced parent, currently that information is recovered in the CS profile. Now, that's not true for every student right now, but when the new form drops, supposedly, it's going to be true on the FOPSA too. But I cannot verify they'll be doing that this year. But if you got a CS profile, they will require the separated parents information, okay, on the CSS profile. Now, if you don't have any CSS profiles, you don't have to worry. And I'll show you how to find out a little later today. Over 640 colleges do require non-custodial of the 800, look over to the left, 800 CS profile schools. FOPSA facts to consider, we talked about last week. Free application, federal student aid, 2022 income. It'll be available sometime this month, December 2023. Colleges no longer require tax return. Parents, remember those days? They needed the tax return. If you make less than $55,000, they'll just require a federal tax transcript. But again, I was just telling you, I think that may go away. I don't think it will go away this year, though. Some selective private schools also require a financial aid document called the profile. We talked about that. I have more to say about it later. I just talked about it a minute ago. What do you need to know about the FOPSA? It's not wholly user-friendly. It's highly unlikely that you will make a mistake. If it's your first time, using a mistake is not critical. Here's what you'll need to file the FOPSA: the username and password for youth and parent, okay? Both youth and parent need a FOFSA username and password. And one of those videos, I think it's the fourth one, has the directions on how to, well, in the description block has the video I did on how to do the username and password. Have any trouble with that at all, just contact me. I'll do it for you or work with you on it. If you're filing your youth FOFSA yourself, go to the following document online. They have some videos there. Mistakes on the FOFSA also happen in the follow-up phase. When colleges ask questions or you think you may need to make a change, and you make the change and it's a problem, please, no youth should file their own FOFSA. Please, no youth should file their own FOFSA. It doesn't work that way. You'll file it for them, okay? Do not have a commercial service file a FOFSA. They'll charge you hundreds of dollars. And sometimes financial planners will file for you, claim they can help you with your investments too. Don't fall for that. In fact, while my mind is on, don't pay for scholarships. Don't pay for consulting. That's why you have me, right? You should be using me. I mean, I get a lot of calls and texts, but I'm still not fully utilized. I know that when I hear about situations I could have helped with sometimes if I knew. I really can help. I know a lot about this stuff and been doing it for over 20 years. And I try to keep up with the new stuff too. Other FOFSA considerations, order username and password. I talked about that. Remember, youth and parent each need one. There's the link above. Important thing is to allow us to test it. I'll be glad to test it for you too. That's why if I get the data form, first thing I do is I check the logins. That's the first thing I do. Take the time to order your username and password today. All right, we're almost there. Oh, here's some tips to creating the username and password. I may not have included this before. Each should use their names as they appear on the Social Security card, not necessarily the ID you're known by. See, you may be known by a different name than is on your Social Security card. Watch out for assumed names after a divorce. Like if you were named James last name before, and then after your divorce, you changed your name, or you're known by another name, and you use that other known by name, you will not be able to create your username and password. And you'll wonder why. And that's the most common thing that I'll find out about. And then there's hyphenated names after marriage. That's a surefire one that people forget. You got to check your Social Security card. It may be hard to remember what you were doing then and what you did on your card. So try to remember that. And when students sometimes have nicknames and they provide their nickname as the FOFSA name, then they don't work. I realize that their Social Security card may be different. Hope that's clear. When making the username, keep it simple. Keep your usernames and your passwords, please, simple, especially when you're giving them to me. I'm challenged when you have little r, big T, exclamation point, £, one small W, U, T, $. I've gotten ones like that, and they're just really hard to keep up with, and it's hard to log in. And I know I'm making a mistake. And what can I do? When making the FOFSA username, keep it simple. Here's the format we recommend: first initial, last name, 4 or 5 numbers. Keep it real simple, okay? FOFSA password, 4 letters, 1 capitalized, 4 numbers, and 1 special character. That's it. I would use these guidelines right here to create them, okay? Yes, we do FOFSAs. Email Quinn Davis at quindavis.eep@gmail.com for the link to the data form. Let me see. It's a good time to introduce who's here today. Quinn, are you there? Quinn?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So Quinn Davis is here. She's going to be one handling your initial input and processing it for me to review. This year, I don't have to think about that. She's going to process it up front, get it to me. I'm going to look at it. We'll have quality control from members of my team before I even do the FOFSA, okay? So we'll link you to the form that we've created already for capturing the data we're going to put in the FOFSA. You'll need a functioning username and password to complete our form. You'll need to consult your completed 22 tax return to do our data form, because we ask for fields that are on there. The donation for completion is $51, which we use for travel for students that can't afford travel, usually foster kids in the spring. So we'd appreciate the donation for our services. However, if you're going to get a Pell Grant or you have a reduced SAI or EFC, whatever, I'll inform you and you won't have to pay for that, okay? We don't want people to, who can't afford it to have to pay that. 51 for filing and follow-up. We do all the follow-up all the way through the process because that's where we think a lot of the problems can occur when you have questions. We will help with all other paperwork and school requests if you let us file the FOPSA. Now, the CS profile is the exception. I usually will look at what's going on. If I'm asked to file one of those, it depends on how many schools, what type of schools. So I don't want to even get into what it will take to do that if you need help. If you need help, and I can help you while you're doing it too on the CS profile, because I know the form very well. FOPSA deadlines for colleges start in January 24 for a few private colleges, very few. The UC deadline is March 2nd, and that should help to reduce the stress a little bit if you're worried that you'll be late. You're not going to be late, okay? I won't let that happen. Top December consideration. Now we get into the new stuff. Here's some top December considerations, okay? The guidelines for adding colleges I'm going to talk about. The guidelines for deleting colleges from your list. How will the FOPSA get done during the holiday season? Oh boy, that's a great question. Top FOPSA stress reducers. I'm going to cover some of those. I'm going to talk about the CS profile. And then I'm going to talk about every important thing you need to know about scholarships. Let's get into it. Guidelines for adding colleges. All right. I think do not add colleges that will cost more or as much as your current most expensive college. I mean, you have expensive back east private schools and you want to add 3 more. I don't think that's wise because you're not going to visit them anyway. Try not to have schools on the list just to have them on the list. If you do, where will you stop? When will you stop? What will make you stop? So don't add colleges that will cost more or as much as your most expensive college. Hey, get a hold of me if you're not sure. I'll tell you in a minute, but I think you know. Selective private schools from the East all pretty much are the same, will cost you the same one way or another. Even if they appear to cost less, when all the financial aid is awarded and everything, you'll owe about the same. So don't add college that will cost more or as much. You're doing extra work for nothing. Here we go. Do not add college that require additional financial aid requirements in the college application writing. Don't add colleges that'll have 2 supplemental essays. That's the last thing you need right now. You don't need colleges that require more writing right now. You at this point, you'll barely finish all your colleges anyway. The easiest to add are CSUs plus schools in the West like Boise State, because they don't have any essay, no recommendations. You'll be finished in 13 minutes. And 9 shots out of 10, well, I don't know about CSUs now, but certainly Boise State, I can get you a fee waiver. And then if you're just going to add one CSU, you're not talking about much. Beware of all the same kinds of college, If all your colleges are Black schools, TBCs or HBCUs, traditionally Black colleges or HBCUs, why you're adding 3 or 4 more, they're the same kind of college. There's no real differences in the schools. I wanted to say diversity, but people think the only diversity is race. It's not race. It's in type of college, okay? Do you have a cost escape college? How about that? I'll talk about that on the next slide. You should have a college that you know is going to be affordable. So it's an escape college if all your colleges cost way too much. You still have time to visit it and see if you like it. If you already have 12 plus colleges, you should drop a college when you add a college. How about that? How about if you add a college, then dropping a college, okay? We're talking mostly about private schools, right? In fact, that's really what we're talking about right now, private colleges, okay? Typically selective private colleges too, if they're still taking that, you still have to do the application. More guidelines for adding colleges. This is interesting. Okay, here's the most affordable non-California colleges. Many Protestant Christian colleges are quite affordable. The best example is Grand Canyon, but there's others. Some Western state colleges are very affordable. Say, oh, I don't want to go in the West. Hey, I'm just giving you the full list. Okay. Some Big Ten large state colleges, like the University of Iowa, has a great scholarship for minority college California students. But you may not want to go to school in Iowa, but I'm including it here. Certain private colleges are going to be okay for cost. A school like Seattle Pacific. Last week, we presented a lot of different schools that were cost effective in my top 12 to 14 colleges. Maybe it was more, I don't know. You should go back and look at that or get a copy of that video and see that presentation. California State University, that is definitely something that should be on everybody's list. Even people who think they have good grades and want to go to a private school. Well, why don't you have a selective Cal State on your list then? You know, depending on your grades. I can't see your grades, but if you're 3.6 to 3.7, you should have had a selective Cal State on the list. In fact, there's still selective ones available. We'll talk about it in a minute. Let's see, guidelines for adding colleges. Most CSUs are still accepting applications. The number one advantage of CSU is cost. They're very efficient. I mean, I have a lot of students who went to CSU and started their careers very effectively. They're doing very well. But cost is the big thing. I mean, I know it's hard if you go to a school where it's all private school students. I mean, I hope you had a CSU that's selective on your list. If you didn't, then that's the way it goes. But there are some great advantages to CSU. You know, parents, it's really great for saving your retirement. Consider adding CSUs. Of course, there's 70 apiece. I did say that I would waive the well, I was going to do an email about it tomorrow, but I'll tell you here. People who got waivers from me can add CSUs if they pay the fee this year. They're going to look the other way, CSU for me. Somebody asked about that. CSUs that are not taking applications. I thought it would be easier to tell you ones that are not taking applications. Every other CSU is taking applications. How long will they? I'll talk about that down the bottom of this page. There are plenty of CSUs there are some CSUs, a few. Here they come. San Diego State is not taking applications. Now, when you go to the site where I'm going to show you when the video tells you about this, I'll tell you now. It looks like they're still open, but that really is their Imperial Valley campus, which is about 70 miles north of, well, that's not true. 50 miles north of San Diego State. It's in the middle of nowhere. I don't think you mean going there, and there's only 4 majors that are open at the Imperial Valley campus. So I'm calling CSU not being open. San Luis Obispo is closed. No surprise there. It's the most selective state school in the nation. Yep, the nation, even more selective than all our UCs. Cal Poly Pomona, surprisingly, it was a shock, they're not taking applications. This is the first time I remember CSU Poly Pomona stopping this early. CSU Long Beach, no surprise there. It's the second most selective CSU, unless you go to a Long Beach high school. CSU Fullerton, the third most selective one, is closed also. And finally, the other surprise, San Jose State University is now closed. Hey, Rex, what do you think about that? I don't know if he's hearing me. So I know he visited.
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. That's just great. Matter of fact, we've added Long Beach to Josie's list of colleges. I think I may have mentioned last Sunday we visited San Jose State University, but Long Beach, we have some friends who have enrollees in Long Beach, and they love it. So yeah, thanks for adding Long Beach.
Right. Well, so this is one that's not taking applications. That means they're very selective. So the schools on this list are very, hey, by the way, you have a friend in Long Beach. You got a friend in Long Beach, Rex. That would be me, Rex. Anyway, these schools are all very selective apparently this year. So San Jose State must have got a record number of applications if they're closing this early. The date was November 3rd. They closed December 1st. The next day they were closed. So these schools are not available for application, but every other school is available for applications. Sonoma State, Bernardino, Humboldt State. I'm just going to Channel Island, Monterey Bay, San Francisco State, Sonoma State, East Bay. They're all open. San Marcos. What's the other one we were just talking about last week? I can't remember now. Anyway, they're all open. Now, Chico, thank you very much. Now, how long will they remain open? I don't know. I'll tell you what I think, though. Here we go. Expected to close next. This is what I think is going to happen. I think LA, Fresno, and Dominguez are getting ready to close. So last chance to catch that freight train. Last chance. Last chance to get a school that's close to home. Dominguez Hills. Oh, that's wrong. It should be S on the hill. Sorry about that. Fresno State didn't close on the 30th. Kind of surprising. And nor did Cal State Los Angeles, but I didn't expect them to close. Now, none of these three is telling the date they're going to remain open till, whereas the remaining schools are giving various dates. So this is why I think these three are getting ready to close. Any questions on this? I just really want to make sure you hear that there is still room for CSU. Okay, let me go on. All right. So those of you that missed the 30th for your CSUs, you still may be able to get one in there. And let me know that you're still applying. I might be able to help you. Hint, hint. Guidelines for deleting colleges that are just like several other colleges on your list. Okay, cost and type. You might want to delete one or two. Colleges that have as much or more essay writing. Hey, look, if you could chop any essay writing out right now, and you had schools on your list just because other people mentioned it or that you really didn't want, it's a good time to knock those schools out that have additional essay writing. College in which you have no career path. You're applying because of whatever reason. Now you realize you don't have a career path at the school. Notice I was careful to not say major, because major and career path are two entirely separate issues, entirely different. There's too many difficult admissible colleges. So if you have a whole bunch of colleges that are hard to get into, it's time to think about your college list and see if you can add CSUs, maybe delete some of the difficult to admit schools that you were going to apply to. All right, let's move to who will complete your FAFSA, excuse me. Who will complete your FAFSA? Now, here we go. Okay, parents. Parents, zone in on this, especially public school parents, even public charter schools, and some private schools. There was a law passed in California that is being interpreted that the public high schools must help you with your FAFSA. There is a waiver, but they're not going to tell you about it. Just like they do in school all the time, parents. They do stuff don't tell you. They'll be talking directly to your student about your tax return. Your public high school will want to help. They will request from your student your 22 tax return. I have great concern that you should have say in that. You need to let your counselors know that you plan to file a FAFSA with my help, or I'm going to file it. Everybody doesn't have me, so you should take advantage of it. Either you're going to do it with help from me, or I'm going to do it. I would not have, but listen, in January, no, I said it wrong. In April, May, all the way through August, I corrected about 17 FAFSAs that had really bad errors on them. There was a trend in how they had the errors, but they were all done in the school. I think the school should be busy enough not to have to do this stuff. They are not qualified to help the FAFSA, especially this year with the new form dropping, where nobody has a lot of intel on it. Parents, I need you to do that. Now, I know they do a lot of stuff at school without you knowing it. They're already pumping your student to get your tax return. Students, if they're asking for the tax return, you come home and ask your parents, are they going to do the FAFSA? Or are you going to do it, or I'm going to do it? not you. I mean, am I going to do it? Or are they going to do, is your parent going to do the FOSTA? I'm very concerned about this. I did a video on it, and I had people from a couple of schools call me. They weren't happy with me. But CSAC up in Sacramento, I told them about this at a workshop they invited me to, because I think this bill came out of them to put through the assembly. I hope I'm coming through loud and clear on this. I know a lot of you are the student that's here, and you realize they're getting on you to get that information. But I've already talked to some of your parents, and they want me to do it. It puts me in a tough position when they're requiring. Now, what they will do to pressure you students is tell you you're going to fail a class, like social studies. You'll get a fail grade on a test or whatever. But again, your parent can come in there and deal with that. That should not be the case. There is a waiver form. They're not going to send the waiver form home. Okay? It's just like them deciding on special days in school, not telling your parents, and doing their schedule with them and not telling you, or telling you can't come up to the school and everything is secret. But in the United States of America, the high school records belong to you, parents. In college, they belong to the students. All right, I don't want to start no trouble, so let me go on. I hope I was clear on that one. I hope so. You might want to consider the holiday challenges of getting this FOSTA done. Think about it. What if this thing drops on December 20th? So it won't be done over the holiday, except if you gave me the information, I'll file it right away. The day the thing files, I can file up to 12 FOSTAs. I hope that I have 12 to do that day. But that means they'll go into January, and you're not going to get to it till the second week of January. And you're going to have those schools that will not change their due dates, that will still be due in January and February. And then what if there's a problem with your password and username? Now you have some real stress going on. So let me give you some important stress reducers. How about that? The actual due dates for the colleges are between February and March 2nd. February 1st through March 2nd is typically the due date for financial aid documentation. Some people think the earlier they file, the more money they get. That is not true. It is not true that the earlier you file, the more money you get. It is not true. Every school has a priority date that it's due. I actually think it's a Title IV violation for them to do that. But if you file early, doesn't mean you're going to get more money. Now, it might mean you have greater access to merit awards, but they're not dependent on the FOSTA if you think about it. Some people have already gotten accepted to schools and got merit awards. You didn't even file a FOSTA yet, did you? Actual due dates are from February to March. For CSU and UC is March 2nd, in case you were wondering. Some are in January. It's a few, very few that are in January. So don't be totally worried about this. I mean, you might just say, okay, I didn't get the forms of Deacon John, so we're going to go through Christmas. Again, I hope I can get at least 12 to 15. If this thing drops December 15th, I'd like to file a bunch of them. We don't know when it's dropping, though. Okay, get us a FOSTA data sheet. We can do it is another possibility who will complete your FOSTA. So you got the high school, you got you, and you got us. Those are your three options for doing your FOSTA. Okay? Again, that public high school thing scares me. So based on the number I had to correct, the students were in a dorm and couldn't pay anything, or got put out of dorms until they could pay, and found there's a mistake on the FOSTA. Again, email Quinn at quindavis.eep@gmail.com to get the FOSTA data sheet link. And of course, we know the FOSTA is still unavailable, but if I get the form early, I can audit early and make sure everything works. Any questions on that? I think that made that pretty clear, but I'll be glad to take questions. So as of December 4th, it's not available. More information, again, check our YouTube channel out, okay? It's a lot of good stuff there. Now I want to talk about the CS profile, and then I want to talk about scholarships. The CSS profile, related processes. I told you it was the College Scholarship Service, I don't know. The CSS profile is a College Board document. I bet you didn't know that. It's found at, well, I didn't put it in there. Yeah, I did. There it is. Click here. There it is. I have the link there. Just Google CSS profile. I log in and you'll get this link here. It's required by over 700 private colleges. Not all private colleges, okay? Like LMU doesn't require it, does not require it, but USC does require it, okay? Chapman College requires it, but most of the Claremont colleges don't require it. So it's not every private college. And don't leave here thinking the CSUs and UCs require it. They do not. These are private, it's a private college phenomenon mostly. There's some back east state schools that require it that are selective, right? Like the University of North Carolina, University of Virginia, they require it. I noticed also Arizona State is requiring the, no, it's one of the Colorado State schools are requiring it as well. Okay. Well, does my college require the profile? Well, there's a link. You can Google CS profile list, college list, and get this link. But this is the link to find out if your school is requiring. And now again, if you get the PDF, you'll be able to click it. The college list also includes, listen to this, that list will include if the non-custodial parent is required to provide income information. And by the way, that's from the tax return. I'd say more than 2/3 of the CS profile schools, the other parent is required to submit. The other blood parent, whether they're living with you, they're separated, they still have to provide it. And yes, the financial aid award is based on that. Non-custodial parent, they're called. It's right there. There's a place where non-custodial parents have to fill out a FOFSA as well. Okay? Again, if you get in a situation like this, and it gets confusing for you, you should get a hold of me. Remember, you're getting free advice from us on what to do about this stuff. You know, and you'll probably want me to communicate with the non-custodial parent to be sure they know how to do all this stuff. And yes, the college could block giving you financial aid until they get all the forms in, all the information in. I mentioned this to a lot of you when you gave me your college list back in August, that certain schools require both parents. The CSS schools require the actual federal income tax documents. That's kind of unusual, even though they're getting it by data retrieval. So that may change. But as of now, and as of last year, and in last year, every other year, you had to send your PDFs of your tax returns to a third-party organization called IDOC that got those returns there, or some other third-party contractor that was able to look at those, because the colleges are not supposed to ask you for your financial aid data directly. Well, what is the unique information that's on this CSS profile that they can't get from the FOFSA? Well, they couldn't get from it before this year. I predict they can't get it from it this year either, because I don't think people have had time to review all these changes and do this stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen this year, but this is what the unique information that's on the CS as of now. They want additional property equity and rental income from Schedule C and E. So if you want to send your student to USC, the non-custodial parent is going to have to provide this information as well as you. Okay? That means, if you have some rental property and you have equity in that rental property, they want to know about it. And they can find it on your Schedule E anyway for simple retrieval. Boats, other wealth, there may be new rules. We're not sure. None of us are sure what other wealth means, okay? Savings accounts of all types, stock, bond, gold, silver, Bitcoin value. Sometimes auto information, other luxury items they ask for on the supplementals. Some colleges ask for that. But also, smiles, there's some stuff in your favor they ask for. Sibling information, liabilities, bills, debts, etc. A lot of schools ask for that. Large medical expenses in 2022 and 2023, okay? They want to know both. Current special circumstances like structural home repairs that you complete in 23, or in work or how about expected documentable balloon payments you have to make on your property. These are called special circumstances. There are probably other ones too, and they want to know about those on the CS profile. They ask about that. And I always ask people about it if I'm doing their CS. I ask for special circumstances and see if they need to be on there. Okay, that's a good rundown on what's in the CS profile. So it's like the good news, your student gets high grades, they can apply to private colleges, but here's the additional documents that are going to be needed. Okay. Now let's talk about Scarlett. Go ahead, Sister Joyner.
This may be a dumb question. I
No,
know.
no such thing.
No, I mean, I kind of feel it is, but I mean, I know for like, okay, for FOSFA, they don't get this into it, nor do they give a crap about probably your liabilities or expenses.
Nope.
But just like for how the money is considered on what you get versus what you have, you know, for FOSFA versus, you know, the more expensive schools.
Right, right.
Why is it so vastly different? Why they ask for this stuff and they don't give a crap about it on FOSFA? I
Well, you got to remember
because
that.
you can
Remember this,
look good on paper, but not really.
well, there's two ways to look at it, you know. With things like CSU and even UCs, they're considerably lower in cost than $70,000, $80,000 private schools. So they don't have to get as much information, they figure, right? And then the next thing is, what about if your budget doesn't allow it? Well, that's actually a very interesting question. You know, if you have one of those special circumstances, they probably care. But who has those? If your budget is just tight, you know, that's one of those things that happens. And that's why middle class folks are so angry all the time. I know that wasn't a good answer, Sister Joyner, I know. But
Oh, it helps. I mean, and that's what it is. Like you're stuck in the middle. I mean,
yeah,
you know, middle class, and it's like,
Yep.
okay, where do you get I mean, at least a tiny break, but I don't know. It was just a question.
will you
Thank
be? I don't remember. Do you have another student in college?
No, I'm
Thank
an
God.
only kid person.
Because you would get mad at me when I tell you that people who have other kids in college, depending on how private schools handle it, and nobody knows how private schools will handle it. We know that the feds will give smaller Pell Grants in those cases when you have another kid in college. But we don't know how private colleges are going to handle this. Now, I've talked to 2 private college financial aid people, but it was from one of my 10 schools, right? They said, oh, we'll adjust. We're going to do something. We want to keep that student. But is that true with every private college? I don't think so. I think they're going to actually do what the feds are doing and cut down on their need-based awards for families that have multiple kids in college.
Wow. Thank you.
But that's what I really fear, Sister Joyner. But I didn't have to tell you that today because I covered it last week. And on the video, I talk about it too. All right. Scholarships. Let's take care of some misconceptions and clarifications first. I always like to do that. Most scholarships are $300 to $1,500. Let that sink in. Most scholarships are $300 to $1,500. I should have said they're not renewable. So this belief you're going to find enough scholarships to pay a big portion of your direct costs is not true. Now, fortunately for you, some schools have institutional grants, right? And some schools have merit awards. Well, all schools do. That can make up the difference. But, you know, if you take a school like LMU and you get their highest merit award, their highest one you can get, they give away 10 of them, and you get the highest merit award, that's a $74,000 school. The highest merit award is $40,000. That's still $34,000 you still have to pay. And a lot of people think I have to get scholarships. You know, well, you're not going to get $34,000 in scholarships. I mean, there's somebody who has some story every year, but I have people tell me that I looked into it and they were telling a story of fib. I don't know why they would fib about it, but yeah, most scholarships are $300 to $1,500. And my most diligent students get 2 or 3 scholarships. Now you say, well, that's better than nothing. Yeah, but if you were looking at trying to cover $40,000, it's not that much. It is going to be good for giving them spending money, getting them extra money, what we call the non-required expenses for college, the things that are not on the bill. Okay. I want to make sure we got that clarification out in the open. Now, there are some large scholarships that colleges give. All right, but that's not what we're talking about right here. We're talking about third-party scholarships. Not you, not the school, but a third party. Okay? Let's continue. I think there is a place for scholarships. I just want to make sure it's not any misconceptions about it. Very, very rarely are exceptionally large scholarships available. Very, very rarely. I mean, even the Jackie Robinson Scholarship, which is a pretty large scholarship, is about $15,000 and it's not renewable. So if you get a nice award from LMU, back to my LMU example, you get $40,000 from LMU, you're one of the 10 people to get it. And there's other awards they have for 20, but if you get the 40, and then you pull in the Jackie Robinson Scholarship, for example, and you get 15, that's still $19,000 you owe for school. But you might say, well, that's a good deal, $19,000 for LMU, and that's fine. But that's the point. But this is a student that got 2 exceptionally large scholarships. Does that stuff happen? Yes, I see it once a year usually. It's rare, though. It's rarely going to be an exceptionally large third-party scholarship. Third-party scholarships will cover about, look at this, you all, 0.5% to 4% of the total college cost. So you're talking about, spending money, maybe some books, maybe some personal stuff for the student. My daughter got a scholarship like this. I told her I wasn't sending her any spending money for a few weeks, right? Because she had that money. Now, little did I know, she was getting money from my mother. So she was hitting both ends there. I didn't know it. That's why she agreed to it. She got the scholarship and she was getting money from my mother. Most are not renewable in subsequent years. Okay. Moderately high GPA students, up to 3.6, income of 65,000 or greater, will have the hardest time getting scholarships. That's what me and Sister Joyner were just talking about. The GPA is high, but not high enough, right? The income is high, but not high enough to write a check, and not low enough to get a Pell Grant. You think there'll be special scholarships for those students, but they're not. These will have the hardest time because the requirements for the scholarship may be income based or maybe GPA based, and it's harder getting scholarships. But that doesn't mean don't look for scholarships. We're going to spend time talking about that. I just want to make sure we get to be real about it. Usually it's got the ones of essays are going to be the easier for you to get, right? Because they're not dependent on some of these other factors. You can compete based on an essay, but a lot of them don't even have essays. They just look at the transcript and the GPA and how much your parents make. That's it. And they determine the scholarship from that and don't even have an essay. There's a lot of them like that. The season for scholarships. Some people think just start applying now. Well, they're not a lot of them are not open now. Most of them, it's April through July when they open. So third-party scholarships cannot be part of a decision about whether you'll attend the school or not. Now, a lot of parents will tell me they're waiting to see about the scholarships. I usually don't say anything, but I realize if they're waiting for the scholarships, they won't hear about awards until closer to the date they have to tell the schools where they're going. And that's intentionally by the scholarship providers. They want their scholarships to go to students that are already in college. So they could put, that's why you see on the form a lot of times, what college are you attending? It may not be due till June, but you'll see it if you go in there now and you wonder, well, I don't know yet, so I'm gonna get this in early. But you don't know where you're going. So, and that's why I say it can't be, even if you win the scholarship in April, say you win it in April, they're not going to give you the check until sometimes after school opens. So it cannot be a part of your decision about where you're going or how you're going to pay the initial deposits. I want to make sure I'm very clear on that. That surprises people every year. It doesn't mean you shouldn't look for scholarships. It just means you have to understand what you're really shooting for. You say, well, how am I going to pay for college? Well, the heavy lifting has to come from what the school will give, what the school will provide. And that's where it gets interesting. You have to compare the financial aid awards. You have to have some schools in your list that are good for cost. And somebody like me, hint, 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 can help you with that, can reanalyze your list and put other schools on your list. Okay. Where are the scholarships? Here are the typical places where we find third-party scholarships. Utility companies, your parents' employers, city, high school. The high schools a lot of time have scholarships. The cities have scholarships. I know LA City has about 7 or 8 different scholarships they give to students. Credit unions, banks. I think those are two very large credit union scholarships we're going to know about early. I'm going to post those to our website. The Connect Credit Union Scholarship. To give away, I think it's $200 scholarships. No, 400, no, I said it wrong. $42,000 scholarships. Banks, Bank of America has a scholarship, I believe. Wells Fargo has one. Look them up. College sororities and fraternities have scholarships. A lot of them come to us, and those are the ones that ask me to tell them which one of my students applied, so you'll get special consideration because you're in our program. AKA does that for me, and one or two of the Delta groups do that. Fraternities is another one too. And of course, you want to use Google. Look up these things on Google. Maybe spend a couple hours, maybe spend a half hour every week or two looking for scholarships. Students, it's going to make the difference on your spending money. Parents, it's probably not going to do anything for the heavy lifting part of college, okay? But it will give them extra spending money, give you a little breathing room there. Where to look for scholarships? On our website. It's a good place to look. I showed you earlier, right? Go to www.westa-eep.org. You can go right on there, right? You go right on there and take a look at that site. But please do not pay someone for scholarships. I spoke at a college program recently, and one of the speakers right before me, or the next speaker after me, I realized I was going to tell people they could pay for, he was a financial advisor, telling he was guaranteeing parents, listen to his parents, that they would get, he guaranteed them $5,500 in financial aid. Do you know what his scam is? Really, I think it's a scam. He wouldn't agree with me, I'm sure, but everybody is entitled to a $5,500 direct loan. Everybody's going to have that on their financial aid award. So he's not guaranteeing you anything, but he puts financial aid. Sometimes you'll see people guaranteeing you scholarships, and that certainly is something you don't want to pay for, okay? You just have to do the hard work of looking for scholarships. Parents, do not do all of the work looking for scholarships, please. Students, get to work after the new year looking for scholarships. Go ahead, Brother Rex.
Hey, I just wanted to share, there's a link to St. Mary's College of California. They have a scholarship link, and it has general scholarships, like 20 different scholarships to consider. Then they have a separate link to scholarships for African American students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Then they have a link for Latinx students. It's pretty good, and you can just access it simply by going to S as in Sam, T as in Tony, Mary's,
yep,
all together,
yep,
-ca.edu. That's ST Mary's all together, dash C as in cat, A as in apple, .edu. And when the website comes up, just go to the tab that says scholarships, and you'll find it. And it's pretty good. So I just wanted to share that.
So it's on our scholarship list for December, so I feel good.
All right.
Yeah, it's on our list for December. And I think I'm aware of that one too. There's a couple of colleges that have decent scholarships. Now you'll see a lot of overlap. That's a good one. You'll see some overlap to like the schools that tend to put a lot of scholarships up. You got to be careful because sometimes it's for continuing students too. Just got to weed through them and read them, you know. But yeah, you'd find something there. I guess the real thing is that Rex is bringing up is that start looking, you know. A lot of them aren't due until April, but start making lists. of the scholarships and go for them. It could take care of a lot of your spending money. It certainly could, you know, and then occasionally you get a larger merit award in there somewhere. Jackie Robinson isn't the only one. There's other ones too. Also, again, I remind you, use Google, right? Now I'm going to tell you the ultimate scholarship. You know what the ultimate scholarship is? This is my last topic, by the way. The ultimate scholarship, students and parents, is to finish college in 4 years. Better still, how about 3.5? How about 3? Give yourself a scholarship. Why do I bring that up? I'm getting ready to shock you. I hope you're sitting down. Still, it is a fact that only 46% of students that start college even finish it. Still, only about half of all students finish college. Now, in our program, the percentage is much higher because obviously we're paying more attention to picking schools that are more affordable. I'm intervening. Even people that just look at my videos are getting benefit. Emails that I put out are getting benefit, you know, but you need to be aware of that. So just finishing college, because what happens sometimes is if you're in college 6 and 7 years, it costs more, right? Or if you attend school for 3 or 4 years and you leave school, I've seen this happen. Now you owe all your loans come due from school, and the parent loans become due, yet there was not a degree. So let's get into that, finishing school. I thought I'd publish my plan for finishing school in 4 years. There's a 4-year plan, and I'm going to show you a 3.5-year plan for finishing college, okay? Go ahead, Brother Rex.
Yeah, I just want to add my personal experience. I finished in 3 years, and the reason I did is because I just stayed on campus. When summertime came, I took summer courses.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Yeah.
And then, so it was 2 years of summer courses. And also I helped myself by getting the work study program. I was able to get a job at the college radio station. Best job I ever had in my life. Play music and get paid. It was great. In addition to taking summer courses. So I actually graduated in 3 years.
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk about that here for the 3.5 plan. Of course, in our day, I think I was able to graduate in 3 years. I didn't do it, though. I stayed for another engineering degree. But yeah, and hey, by the way, we have something in common, Rex. I'd worked the radio station in my school.
How about that? Too? Well, you can share how nice it was, too.
Yeah, it was on the air. Yeah, WRGW, Sound of the Students. Sorry, we lost today.
Ours was a WMKY, Morehead State University, not Morehouse, Morehead, which is in
Morehead. That's right.
Morehead, WMKY. And here's something, just a fun fact. Every radio station and TV station located east of the Mississippi starts with a W. Every radio or television station west of the Mississippi starts with a K, like in LAKL TV or whatever.
K-Day.
So fun fact.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so here's a 4-year plan. If you just finish in 4 years, that'd be cool, students. Most students go to 5th year and things like that happen, but you don't have to. The key is, like he was sort of saying, here's 22, 23. Oh, did I do this right? Yeah. No, wait a minute. I don't think I labeled this one right. The second one's labeled right. Sorry, you guys. This is 23, 24, summer. I'll get you a better labeling in a minute. There's fall, right? There's summer. There's fall and spring next year. You can see in the summer, you're going to school, 6 hours, and it adds up, and you'll definitely finish. Now, that 136 is kind of high. You really can graduate with about 120 credits, okay? So really, this student could have finished early, if you look at it that way. The total's down here in the red circle. You can compare that to the 3.5-year plan, where you take a few more credits, 16 credits all the way to the end here. You finish in 3.5 years. And obviously, if you take more credits in the summer, you can finish in 3 years. I've had students finish in 3 years, quite a few. And you're saving money. You're giving yourself a scholarship, right? You're saving 1/4 of the cost, up to 1/4 of the cost for college. By the way, these years are right here. The other ones are wrong, right? 23, 24, 24, 25, 25, 26. Boy, I'm the old man when y'all graduate anyway. Anyway, so this is all that here. So I think you can see that you can control it by your rigor and how you finish. And, you know, and don't add a whole lot of, well, I want a triple major, I want a double major. You know, your job is to get enough skills and experience. We'll talk about later, experience while you're in school. You get enough experience while you're in school to get a job when you finish college. Start paying off your loans and becoming a productive member of society. I believe, let's see, I believe, yeah, fast web. The only problem with fast web is that you get a lot of junk mail. You definitely want to have a separate email, and you got to fight through all the advertisement ads too. Okay, there's sites that I like. Hey, if you go to my site, you won't get that because I've sorted through all that. I have a provider that sorts through all that and provides really good scholarships, including the one he just mentioned. That's the only problem with fast web. They used to be the greatest thing that you could tell, like the inexperienced financial aid people that visit and give talks, they mention fast web. They're going to jam your email up for years, and they're going to have a lot of advertising in there as well. But I think you can find some good stuff between my site and Google. You can find some really good scholarships. Okay. That's just my opinion. All right. Let me give the upcoming college tour plan, and then that I'll shock my staff with right now. And then we'll stop and take questions. I didn't want to go much longer than I went today. And remember, go to my videos. That stuff I would have covered today, but didn't want to make this I don't want to do, you know, really long meetings anymore. We used to do longer meetings before the pandemic, 2-hour meetings, 2 hours, 15 minutes. Sonoma State, it's moved to Friday, February 9th. It was December 8th. I had to move it. Admitted 12th graders who are admitted to Sonoma State should go, plus 11th graders. It's not an overnight trip. It's up and back. CSU Bakersfield is TBD. Boise State admitted and admissible 12th graders. Admissible 12th graders and 11th graders are going to be Sunday, Monday, February 25th and 26th. I'll be going back. Washington, D.C. admitted 12th graders only. I only take admitted 12th graders to D.C. on this trip. Saturday through Monday, April 14th through 16th. And a lot of times those are not good dates. And we actually didn't have this trip the last couple of years because everybody went on their own, not because of COVID. But I hope you know that if you get into a school and you want to go to it, you're going to visit it first. You're not going to attend a school without visiting. Some strange things happen when you do that. But I'll explain it after the new year. Then local school LMU, let's go to LMU February 2nd, Groundhog Day. I'll get a van from the church. We'll go over and visit Charles Mason, and any student that's applied, I know is admissible because if you went through me, I found out. I'll take you over there. We'll have a great tour of the school. They'll give us a little lunch. It'll be really wonderful, okay? All right, that's all I had today. Again, not making the meeting too long.